Well, we just pulled over on the side of the road. We're heading out to Berkshire, New York for Kingbird Farms, but we had to pull over because look at this view, for one, and look at the amount of snow. We have just been getting pummeled with snow, and this is like an ice kingdom, but it is so stark and so gorgeous. Morning. It is. Oh, thank you for ordering this. I really... Oh my goodness. Perfect storm.
Well, as you can see, they're horribly neglected. No love. They must demand it from strangers.
Did you get them at the same time?
No, they are cousins,
okay.
But Owen is 3 years older.
Oh, I see.
So. The most useless dogs we've ever had. We've had good farm dogs for many, many years.
Yeah.
Usually Bernese Border Collie crosses.
Yeah.
Good herding dogs and guard dogs.
Yeah.
But these two,
just
as
lovers.
purebreds, they're just people dogs.
Oh, you're just lovers.
They could care less if something is attacking the chickens, which is really unfortunate. But this was our duck flock.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit, because I love the idea of having ducks. Just because
ducks.
you love ducks.
I love ducks.
Tell me why you love ducks.
I love ducks because, one, they were very easy to breed.
Yeah.
So as far as replacing themselves, they mate for life. They have really good high fertility, high hatch rates. Number two, ducks live a long time.
How long?
Oh, easily 10 years.
Oh, wow, good.
A lot of these girls are pushing 10 years and they're still laying regularly.
Girls, you're looking good.
So at least this little flock is everywhere between, last year's hatching and about 10 years. And so I never, unlike layers, I never cull laying ducks.
Okay.
They do not plunge in production like laying hens.
Interesting.
You get a couple of really good years from laying hens, and then they start getting really spotty and it gets economically difficult.
And do you have like one male or at all?
Well,
or?
when we were breeding, we had probably about 5 males for 25 hens.
Okay.
And they do mate for life, so every male had to choose a few hens, which it wasn't so, but you don't want
Can he mate with multiple for life or just one for life?
He did. They would do multiples.
Okay.
And it's also, I don't know if you know, but ducks have a rape culture.
Yes.
Which is really painful.
And, I've heard a lot about duck sex, and I can't remember if it was from some of the nature shows on Discovery or what.
Yeah, they have a side vagina.
Yeah.
So like if it's not their mate that's raping them, they can send him off to the side and then not get fertilized by him.
I'm gonna take you on a ride. We're gonna burn through the night. Why you're so salty? I'll still take a bite.
Okay, we can take my Lambo. I'll put on a tight show. You sure you can handle? We be faster than Django.
Oh my God.
And so they have a very
That's like a crazy t-shirt. Might give you a side vagina.
I might give you the side vagina. Yeah.
With a little duck.
Yeah, you have to focus on the duck part.
Yeah.
They breed a lot, and so the fertility was always really high as far as maintaining that. They live a long time. They stay very active, reproductively active for a long time, which means they're valuable as an egg-laying animal for a long, long time.
They look like they're not bothered by the winter.
That's the other thing.
They're so
super hardy.
in there.
I wasn't necessarily going to leave them out in the orchard this winter, but it's been fine because they're so well insulated. They have the calf hutches, which are full of straw. They're very warm. They warm up during the day, especially when they're full of duck.
Yeah.
And they're so well insulated, they do really well in the cold weather. And I didn't move them back to the barn this winter, one, because my fences were frozen in place, and two, because we actually had a weasel up in the barn.
I saw your silky.
We lost the entire silky flock in one night, and then the weasel has proceeded to eat my layers slowly over time.
Oh my God! Well, we'll have to talk about that afterwards.
Yeah.
Because
so that's one reason why I left the ducks down here. Ducks are actually really predator prone. So that's a negative about ducks, is particularly a larger duck like the pecans here.
Which I know are very personable ducks.
Yeah.
What made you decide on these breeds?
I decided on pecans because we were raising meat ducks.
Okay.
One, I wanted a purebred so that I could breed all my own. And so some of the really good meat birds are actually a hybrid. So I wanted a purebred. And so the pecan was a good purebred. It's of decent size, but not ginormous. They have a really nice long life. They're chill. They're affable,
though.
they're friendly, they're easy to manage.
Yeah.
You can herd them like cattle, which is really convenient as far as moving them around. So that's why I went with the pecan. And I've also been breeding my own for so many years that I've developed a bird that has a really good long life, has good strong feet. One of the things about a lot of meat birds, chickens, turkeys, ducks, whatever, that they've been bred for, enormous breast meat or very fast grow out, or all of those characteristics which are not useful in this kind of situation.
Yeah.
Like I want a bird that grows fast enough to be useful as a meat animal, but doesn't grow so fast that it's detrimental to their bodies and to
where
their
they
lives.
just fall over into their food.
That's no good. Or they can't breed naturally.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah.
That's crazy talk. So I wanted, there has to be this happy medium between a bird that's actually worth growing for eating and a bird that will have a good, healthy life. And that's what I finally got with my pecans.
Well, what brought you to this too? Because aren't you a vegetarian?
Right? Yeah. No, I was a vegan until we started the farm. Actually,
really,
all of my life, pretty much.
So tell me about the
here.
philosophy, because I think a lot of folks, really want to hear through that. If you before you got the farm, and what made you decide on that, even though you don't participate in it.
Well, I do if it's our own,
right,
or I know where it comes from. Yeah, well, that was one of the impetuses of starting the farm, was I wanted to be able to raise livestock in a way that I felt comfortable. I wasn't, unilaterally opposed to the eating of animals. I was unilaterally opposed to the abuse of animals and the system. I still am. And as a small farmer like this, I'm keenly aware of how livestock is raised conventionally, and definitely steer clear of that. But I wanted to be able to raise it for myself, and then raise enough so that I could offer it to my community, to those people that felt like, I don't want to eat meat on the wider scale, but if I can find it and it's special, then I'm willing to do that. I mean, I've got customers that always say, I'll eat chicken, but only if Michael has killed it. and that's kind of how we built our clientele too. I mean, this is our slaughter shed, and we've done all of our own poultry for over 20 years.
Wow.
Every single bird we've butchered ourselves, and I felt very strongly about that. And I've also wanted to be super open, and so that any customer that ever has any question, they want to come to the farm, if they want to come to a slaughter, if they have any detailed questions about how anything happens, either be here or trucking or at our butcher as well, because we do, of course, for red meat, we have a USDA butcher. I wanted to be really transparent about all that stuff.
Right. So that was my goal, and I'm slightly sad as we pull back from meat production that I won't be able to share as much of that with my customers as I used to be. And some of them are a little upset, unfortunately. They're like, "What am I going to do?" I'm sure you're going to find some young, enthusiastic new farmer that's doing the right thing, that wants to keep going. You go find them. Well, I think it's smart and sensible that you're kind of looking at farming through the generations, and it's not always something that you can or want to be doing through the years, and then you have to refocus. It's like kind of exercise in a way, like you have to exercise per your age, age range, and what actually makes sense to you.
And we are very privileged to be able to come into this farm as a first-generation farmer that chose to do this and chose to do it exactly the way we wanted to do it, regardless of how weird and bizarre and uncouth it was at the time. We were privileged to do that. And we were privileged to be able to say, okay, we don't want to do that anymore, and switch gears on our farm.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad that we designed the farm in that way. We were able to purchase the farm without any debt.
Yeah.
And so we've had the power to change things the way we want it, to change things the way the customer base seems to want it, and how the land seems to want it, or the weather, or whatever the changes are. We've been really flexible and quick on our feet as far as changing it, because we chose to do this, and we'll choose to stop.
Yeah.
And I feel very strongly, especially with livestock raising, that if you are not enjoying it and you don't love what you do, then you should get out, because that is never going to be good for the livestock ever. And to me, it's about the animals. And so if I can't if I can't come out here every day and do the very best for them, then I don't want to do it at all.
Yeah.
So I really feel strongly that people should do it because they love it.
And that's also part of what you're saying too, with like, you know, the upgrades that you would have to do would be a ginormous input in it, and you know, your livestock or, you know, need that or whatever, so you're starting to pull back a little bit as well.
Yeah, just do a little bit less. I mean, the farm has always been quite an ecosystem of things that feed into each other.
Yeah, it's pretty diversified.
So as we're removing things, we're going, oh, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah.
If we don't butcher chickens, we won't have the blood and the feathers and the offal that we've always composted to make our beautiful potting mix for our houseplants.
Right.
Wait a minute, where am I going to get that now? So, you know, it does mean that we're having to do it slowly and change gears and shift how we do it. Otherwise, everything could fall apart because it is very integrated.
Right. Well, can we get into here and like, take a look more closely? So can I go over this side?
Yeah, you can just go right over it. It's off.
Okay.
I would never do that, sir. And stay on the path, because when you go off of it, it just goes right down into the snow.
Okay. And then I would imagine you have to have like water for them, right? In this time of, because they love water, right?
Right. So the challenge with ducks is they definitely have to have water all the time.
Right.
And when it's constantly freezing, it means I'm constantly having to come down here and refill, clean out the troughs, take the ice out, refill, try again. But they also like snow.
I see that they're eating snow.
They spend a lot of time preening in the snow, cleaning themselves in the snow, because this is just water.
Yeah.
And they love water, being waterfowl. So that's the other thing is that they their feed will freeze every day.
Right.
So I always feed a wet feed to ducks.
Okay.
Because it's much easier for them to eat if it's nice and moist and almost soupy to an extent.
Yeah.
And so you'll see, like down in the lower trough, the feed will freeze every day if they don't eat it all immediately, and that's kind of a pain. But what I do is we'll pop it out of those troughs and take it up to the layer house and let the chickens peck at the frozen food.
Oh,
and they think that's just a fabulous treat. It's just frozen feed. But they're like, oh my God, the frozen feed. This is so exciting. But anything new in the winter is exciting, right?
Will they let you approach them, or do they kind of
They'll walk away.
Yeah.
But they're not going to.
Hello, guys. Hello. Check this out. Let's check it out. What's going on? Oh, they have like beautiful blue eyes.
Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, these are just for calves, right? Like tiny.
Yeah, those are calf hutches.
That's cool.
And I like them because they're super easy. We've had them for 20 years.
Yeah.
And they're super lightweight, so I can roll them around to move them.
Yeah.
And because they're slightly clear, well, not clear, but they do let light through.
Right.
They'll warm up during the day to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's another thing. These are a thing that need to be replaced.
How do they decide which hutch they go into? Like, do the guys have like specific hutches?
I wondered. Well, these are all girls now.
They're all girls.
They're all girls
guys
now.
anymore.
Yeah, we butchered all the boys last year because we were going to not be breeding
No
anymore.
need for your side vagina
And
anymore.
exactly. So they're all girls now. I may get a couple of new males in the future.
Yeah.
Just in case I want to be able to replenish my own flock.
Yeah.
Not breeding for, any kind of major thing, but just enough so I can replace my own flock. But I'd like to bring in a little bit of new genetics.
Yeah.
One of the problems with breeding your own and having such small flocks is there's a lot of inbreeding. And I was starting to see an inbreeding depression, which was midget ducks.
Which is what some people like, the baby, the midget pekins, right? They're what are they called? What are they called? They're like bantam versions?
Well, there are like little call ducks that are the bantam, but this isn't technically a bantam. I mean, this is a genetic problem.
Yeah.
And I was getting, at least in every batch, a couple of little midget ducks, which were adorable, and they never grew very big, but they did not compete with the rest of the birds. So I ended up giving them away to people as pets because they couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
But so I think when I bring some new boys in next year, they'll be of a completely different genetic stock.
Yeah.
And the geese here, Rosalind and Jimmy, those are American buff geese. And they were brought in twofold. One for protection, to protect the ducks, because ducks are, like I said, so predator prone because they can't fly, they can't run, they get bogged down easily, so it's important for them to have protection. And the other is for ravens, because during the summer when the birds are out on pasture up near the pond, the ravens will come down and take their eggs every morning.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I've seen ravens fly off with complete duck eggs in their bills. I don't know how they do it. It's amazing. But Jimmy and Rosalind will chase them off, at least to a certain extent. They do their best.
So they kind of are like the equivalent to a rooster for the ducks.
Yep.
Wow.
Especially when Rosalind is sitting on on any eggs, then Jimmy is very, very hyper aggressive about keeping everything out.
Do they ever sit on each other's eggs? Or no? Geese and ducks, they're
not in this group. They sure don't. And and I don't. I almost never have a broody pekin. They're not a very broody group, which was always really nice because I was either collecting eggs to put in the incubator or collecting eggs to sell. And so them not being broody was really nice. Sometimes you'll find an occasional duck that will actively hide her eggs every single day. Like they're supposed to lay in the huts, or we have these hoop houses in the summer that we move around, and they're supposed to lay in those, but there'll always be a few where you have to go find them. She'll build a nest under a shrub or something, and you'll... I take these pin flags, which is a little flag on a little piece of wire, and I'll pin flag locations in the pasture where an errant duck is laying so that we can find them.
So
hopefully that's not all so cueing the ravens, which probably is.
It's kind of like a little Easter egg hunt, you know, if you will, every day of the year.
And that might be fine and good if they're just for yourself, but when you're selling them, like, oh no, how long has this egg been here? And I can't sell it if I don't know that it's new.
Exactly. So. Well, you know, the other thing too is you have your ducks separate from your chickens, and I think that's probably really sensible, right? Because they can be pretty messy with the water, I'd imagine. Right.
So we generally do keep the ducks primarily outdoors year-round because of that, because they're so messy with water. If we have, feeders and drinkers in a deep-bedded pack in a barn where we're keeping ducks, it's a mess. It gets super wet, then it freezes solid, and you have to keep putting new straw on every single day really actively, or it just becomes a disaster. And so it's much better to keep them outdoors like this. Everybody stays cleaner, and if you keep the bedding in there stays fairly dry because all the eating and drinking is out here.
Well, this is great. I mean, other tips for, keeping them in the winter months in general? They seem pretty hardy.
With ducks, I feel strongly that it should be outside as much as possible with a nice cozy place to go to sleep, but then primarily out of doors, and then keeping fresh water.
Do they have anywhere here to go and dabble, or do you have a pool in the summer?
Well, yeah, there it is. Yeah, so, and it's been in the winter, what I've done is I've dug the pool out and filled it on nice, warm, sunny days, because they do get a little scruffy if they can't bathe very often, but filling a pool every day makes no sense in this weather because it'll just freeze. But when it's a nice day, I'll fill it. They'll all come and bathe and get all cleaned up, and then the next time they'll just have to wait. And like I said, they use the
that
snow
one in the back
bit.
Is like using the snow to preen a little bit.
And then in the summer, they're up near the pond near a giant ditch, which is always full of water, free flowing water, which is super nice. But I mean, I think with ducks, it's trying to keep a place where it's dry and keeping fresh water. I always say this joke: we're animal welfare approved, and one of the rules is you have to keep fresh, clean water in front of ducks at all times. And I literally laughed out loud when I read that. I'm like, are you kidding me?
They make it dirty as soon as they put their beak in it.
Or when I fill the pool, the first duck to jump in goes, poop. And you're like, thanks. I just cleaned and filled that for you. Yeah, it's really charming. So yeah, the water challenge for ducks is immense. And that is definitely, like you said, that's why they're separate.
Yeah.
Because keeping them with the chickens chickens like it dry. And they just can't take the moisture of all the ducks.
Yeah. I love their sounds. It's so funny. I mean, I know they're like a talkative breed, but they're just, they're so funny. I wonder what they're saying to one another.
They're saying, where's Fred? Where's Fred? One of the ducks, I had to remove one of the ducks yesterday.
Oh yeah.
So they're, yeah. You know how sometimes, and this happens with chickens too, when they're molting out particularly large wing feathers.
Yeah.
And they'll get a little blood on them because of that. And then everybody else decides, oh, what is that blood? I'm going to peck at that.
Yeah.
So I've got one in the shop hanging out because she's just got, it doesn't seem to be bugging her that much, but every time that little bit of blood shows from those new pin feathers coming in, she gets pecked on. So hopefully she'll be, and I only noticed it because of the snow. I came out and I was like, there's blood on the snow. What's going on?
Yeah. Oh, well, these are cute guys. I love this. Well, thank you so much to take us around your little Duckville here.
Duckville, yeah, they enjoy the orchard. They can almost get into the trees now with the snow so high. The fence is super hot when it's plugged in, but at this point, I mean, a fox could just leap over it.
Yeah, exactly.
I have lights, they're now buried, but I have lights on this fence that flash all night long. They're solar powered. They're really excellent, but at this point they are now gone.
They're buried under the snow.
They are. Oh, that
I hear the chickens.
9 barn cats.
Actually,
9? I have barn cat bingo cards so that during farm tours the kids can take their bingo cards out and try to find all the barn cats.
Oh my gosh, what a little lover.
She is. She's the greenhouse cat. It's interesting, all of the barn cats have sort of their chosen locations where they hang, and she's generally the greenhouse cat, so.
It's greenhouse cat, yes.
She keeps the mice out of the flats.
Oh, very handy. Very handy. We need one of you on the property. If you'd like a tour of Kingbird Farm's greenhouse and houseplant operation, then head over to our sister channel at Plant One On Me to check out those episodes. Additionally, if you haven't heard yet, Flock Finger Lakes will be giving 10% of its YouTube AdSense proceeds directly back to the community of the Finger Lakes. So you not only indirectly get to take part in this, which is cool, but you'll also be able to see where those funds go through some of the episodes we film. Additionally, our partners at Espoma Organic, which is a 4th-generation, family-owned and operated business providing organic fertilizers and soils for the lawn and garden industry, and has some collegiate roots here in the Finger Lakes, has offered to match those funds this year through product and/or direct funds, depending on the Give Back campaign. So if you haven't yet, go check them out, and if you're on social media, tell them you appreciate their efforts. See you in the next episode.
What you got there?
I got some peas. These were
You gonna feed the ducks?
These were for the ducks, but like the ducks are in restricted diet, so I'm gonna feed the horse instead. It's like, I don't want peas. No peas! She's like, this is the biggest asshole of a horse that I have.
He is, he's a total asshole. I love him, but...
No, he's like, they're overcooked.
Look at that, not impressed. Darn it, you little snob.
You don't like peas at all? Are you serious?
Nope.
He's like, no! That's so funny. All right, now
The beauty of this horse is that he is rock solid as a well-trained. He'll do whatever I ask him to. He's very, very predictable, very dependable, but he doesn't really like people.
Yeah.
He's not very friendly. He'll tolerate me petting him.
Yeah.
But the other two, the Norwegian Fjord horses, oh yeah, they're all over you. So if I need love and affection, I just go to a different horse, honestly.
That's amazing.
But he's a good boy.